Hi everyone, welcome back. Lovely spring morning, all the fields full of flowers, and it's the end of week 3 in my girl's hormonal health course, and endocrine disruption and reproductive disorders, and so I wanted to make a video specifically on iron deficiency, absorption, losses, inefficiencies, and nutrient deficiencies, and digestive flora imbalances, all of which contribute to the most severe nutritional deficiency of modern civilization. And I think it's a quarter of the world population is statistically and seriously deficient in iron, as in doctors diagnose it and say it's of a serious impact to your health to be so deficient in iron. And then another half of the population is barely above the limit, which is, on paper it's called sufficient, but we're talking about borderline impact to your health and diagnosable consequences to this low level of iron. And probably a quarter or a third of the world is sufficient, so to speak, or acceptable or okay. But we're not talking about how optimal and ideal these iron levels should be. And the big hullabaloo and confusion about it is absurd, because we're being told to eat even more iron than we ever have before in history. We're more well fed than ever. We've got more different sources than ever of iron and copper. And my theory and belief, and I'm sure of this, is that we have enormous losses in the digestive tract due to countless micro wounds and constant repair due to IBS and colitis and gut lining inflammation and maldigestion. And the result is malabsorption, so the iron isn't actually getting into the body that we're eating in the first place. Secondly, there's a lot of iron being lost in the repair of these very delicate microscopic blood vessels. We're talking about millions or billions of little hair-like and cell-thick, extremely fine, microscopic little exchange organs that absorb the nutrients from food. And when there's too much dairy and meat products in the diet, and especially when we're not combining our foods right, when food combining isn't being respected, which is essentially carbohydrates only for lunch, not for dinner, and fats and proteins only for dinner, not for lunch, or at least keep these two worlds separate in any given meal. I like to do entire day either carbohydrate digestion or fat and protein digestion, and it's a ratio of 7-3, more or less. Sometimes 8-2, even in the warm summer months. It can even go up to 9-1. In these warm months now, I'll be more starch, fiber, water, vitamins and minerals fueled, to have light energy and not to feel lethargic and heavy and dense like you do in the winter when the weather's cold, because the cold actually compresses, and the inflammation is how we survived ice ages and cold winters, in the northern hemisphere. That's why the animal products are ideal, suited for that. There's a time and place for everything. But what's helped me most in my health journey, 20 years now, was the flexitarian diet, nearly vegan. One exception, a week of meat, fish, dairy, each of the 3 types: dairy, a glass of milk, a yogurt, a bit of cheese, once or twice a week. That's if I've got no complaints. If I'm not feeling well, I'll do a week animal free, and sometimes even a week carbohydrate free. But in that week, not eating a load of bacon and eggs, rather nuts and seeds, and raw plant fats, a lot of fiber. But anyway, getting off the point. Iron deficiency is, apart from the fact that it disrupts your hormonal system and your thyroid function, and then in turn thyroid hormones help the body convert and use iron in the system, so it makes iron deficiency even worse to be deficient in the first place. In the context of hormonal health, which is the course I'm doing right now in my hometown, first time I've got a group, like more than one student on their own. Thyroid is pretty much the master of the endocrine system after the pituitary gland. It steers your entire metabolism and your energy levels, and iron is actually key in energy levels because of oxygen transport in the hemoglobin of the red blood cells. You have more energy the more oxygen you can transport in your blood, so to speak. The trains, wagons are full with 40 people in each wagon instead of just 4 or 5. All round circulatory health is better. Tissue repair, iron is essential in repairing tissues, vessels, blood cells. Basically, when iron is deficient, there's so much more repair work, constant ongoing maintenance, losses, substitution, replacement is just exponentially higher. So the consumption of iron itself, again, is far higher. Do you understand? So the deficiency of iron is just one complex, perfect storm of a combination of digesting our foods wrong, having an inflamed digestive tract, poor nutrient absorption of iron due to the imbalanced gut flora, excess demand and losses of iron through repair and a mistreated body and blood losses. And then on top of it, in modern society, you've got intense and excessive amounts of sport sometimes, especially men wanting to build superfluous and unnecessary large volumes of muscle. All this tear and repair process, which is often actually scarring the tissues, is all blood loss. It's all iron and copper consumption off the charts. So yeah, and obviously high performance athletes have a lot more iron consumption necessary. And yeah, then you got to talk about the B vitamins and vitamin C and copper that cooperate with iron. How much more efficient you can get then on top of it with the nutrient absorption and use and application of iron in the body thanks to these other possible deficiencies. And as I say to everyone always, practice food combining with 80 or 90% seriousness. If 1 or 2 meals a week you mix potatoes and meat on the plate, or pasta and cream or cheese, it's not the end of the world. The problem is when all of your meals are like this, you're probably going to have colitis, Crohn's disease and colon cancer at the end of your life, especially nowadays when all of our foodstuffs and the agricultural industry and the food industry especially are becoming more and more artificial, synthetic, denatured, heated to high temperatures, industrially processed, and then we go and cook it as well excessively. Like, you don't have to cook a pot of lentils for an hour. If you put the lentils in water for a few hours first, let them swell up and get soft, in 5 or 10 minutes they'll be cooked. There's these basic respect of food practices that have been lost or are being lost. So what else? So yeah, iron deficiency, it's a multifactorial problem. Like, we are consuming enough of it, just that some people are getting it only from animals and too little from plants. So like not eating enough legumes, lentils, sesame, tofu, fermented soy products. Good rich iron sources from the plant world are just as important and just as valuable as, and this is a big lie in medicine right now that's not being recognized. I mean, top athletes all over the world have extended their career another 5 or 10 years and achieved performance levels they never would have, and improved their best numbers through the vegan diet. At the very least, Flexitarianism. But yeah, I very much recommend a documentary film called The Game Changers on Netflix. James Cameron, Lewis Hamilton, Novak Djokovic. I don't know if Joaquin Phoenix was involved again that time. The Schwarzenegger appears, and an endless list of Olympic athletes and top performers in the world feature and give their testimonies of how they felt better than ever, they recovered better than ever, body inflammation went down, recovery time sped up, they could train more hours because there was less time in repair and damage control of the tissues. And then there's what the health which is a great, more medically focused, more about the health industry in America, chronic illnesses, the enormous business and lobbying phenomenon, how the laws have been rewritten, and apparently public, but really actually private health institutions like the Heart Association, the Cancer Association, the Diabetes Association are extremely deeply sponsored by the most harmful foods industries, businesses, to that specific illness. It's a great film. And the last 20-30 minutes of it is also high performance athletes. Actually, one of my most respected teachers is Rich Roll, ultra marathon runner and Ironman athlete who sometimes does 5 Ironmans in a week. Like I think the 5 Hawaiian Islands Ironman, consecutively, in 1 week doing 5 Ironmans, something that one Ironman people would prepare for months or half a year to do. And he's been vegan for 20 years. He was a lawyer who had a drug addiction chapter in his life and alcoholism very early in his 20s. And he's got one of the best podcasts for health and comprehensive wellness. And yeah, one more point on the veganism is look into Mike Fremont, the 102 or 103-year-old marathon runner who broke Guinness World Records in his early 90s for the fastest marathon. And he still nowadays, I think, runs a couple of half marathons a year and goes for a 5-mile run 3 times a week, I think, every second or third day. And he had colon cancer at the age of 68 and became a vegan and lived the 30 healthiest years of his life after that. And he hadn't actually started running until his late 50s or early 60s. So a complete life change and destiny and health, fate, future change with diet change. I don't believe in absolute and extreme veganism unless you really know what you're doing and you're very interested and curious in nutrition and health and your microbiome and everything. Flexitarianism is the easier way to have a complete and deficiency prevention lifestyle. But yeah, I didn't want this video to get so long. 12, that's good, very good. I'm getting better with the length. But yeah, in the context of hormonal health, endocrine disruption, reproductive disorders, and iron deficiency, the main 2 factors are excessive bleeding and tissue repair and loss, and ongoing maintenance and inefficiencies. And secondly, impaired absorption and actually chronic inflammation, systemic inflammation in our bodies impairs iron absorption further. And we're all chronically inflamed, like almost all of us, mainly because of poor food combining, excessive animal products and artificial foods, and excessively refined carbohydrates. Like when you hear carbohydrates, you need to start thinking more all vegetables and fibers and legumes and whole grains, and then pasta, white rice, bread, flours, bakery, and potatoes are in the good half, just that they're on the faster end. They're closer to white rice than they are to lentils, so to speak, but they're definitely on the good side, unless they're fried, obviously. But so yeah, the overconsumption of these luxury foods that until half a century ago were the latest phenomenon and celebratory. I mean, even here in Spain, you'd have white rice on a special occasion on a Sunday with family all together and a glass of wine, and there'd be seafood in the fish and a real bomb for your blood sugar. And this neurochemical and endocrine celebration event and reward event was shared in community, and is tied to our moral, sociological progress and development and constant upward elevation and refinement of the spirit and our collective pride. But nowadays we're eating 15 or 20 meals a week on that level of pleasure, stimulus, relief, soothing, and it's not just weakening our nervous and endocrine system, and also depleting our reserves and emptying us and making us more sensitive and high tolerances for pleasure and reward, therefore lowering our strength and capability and tolerance for discomfort and struggle and pain and growth and strength, basically. This highly hedonistic lifestyle quickly becomes narcotic. So you're half sleepy, your soul loses its passion and its excitement, and this is what this channel is about. The inner goal is awakening your sensitivities and your pursuit nature, your constructive hope, ambition, idealism, optimism, faith. And this narcotic, narcissistic even, because it's all, what do I need right now, how am I feeling, constant reactivity and compulsion and progressively weakening impulse control. This lifestyle is also dulling, sedative, and fogging up our consciousness. And I'm rambling into this channel's ethos now, but the more artificial and modern our diet is, the more nutrient deficiencies there's going to be, and the more internal wounding and damage and losses and constant repair of our tissues is going to be in progress. And so even higher amounts of iron and copper are going to be required for all of this, which is already our most severe deficiency. And when the absorption is then damaged and impaired through a inflamed gut lining and bacterially imbalanced and excessively fungal. This is a key point actually. Excess fungus in the digestive tract is constantly aggressive, wounding, secreting toxins, poisoning our gut flora, competing with gut flora, and acidifying to our digestive tract. And an acidic digestive tract has a low pH, and so you're going to be just at an enormous disadvantage when it comes to absorbing these extremely valuable nutrients. And iron is key in metabolism and energy levels and in oxygen transport. So you're going to be oxygenating your brain and your nervous system a lot better, which is, oxygen is lifeblood and gold for your nervous system. So your entire mood and personality is dependent on whether the wheel is turning one way or the other. Do you understand? So our modern society's prevalent, cynical, hopeless, selfish, less vulnerable, more protective, preventative, and apparently everyone wants to be independent, but it's really just fear and lacking a big heart and courage that is generosity and taking the risk of anything. And this is all the result of energetically depressed. We're talking about biochemical, bioelectric energy charge in our cells and tissues and organ systems and our nervous system and our endocrine system. Deficiency, like we're depleted. We're both half empty or fully empty pressure-wise in terms of our sacred elixirs that make our nervous and endocrine system full and powerful and strong and raise our consciousness. And at the same time, we're inflamed, toxin retention, cell waste not leaving the body. This toxicity lowers our pH, and when pH lowers, your energy charge potential, your energy accumulation potential, electrical accumulation potential of your cells and tissues drops. pH, any electrician will tell you, in an alkaline bio battery, in an alkaline battery that we are, the lower pH is, the more you're going to have urgent compulsion to supplement energy with fast carbohydrates, sugars, and stimulants like coffee, for example, and constantly soothing and relieving the nervous system as well with alcohol, tobacco, food, sex, and so on. And all of this is because of an energetic deficiency. So weakness, in one word, weakness. And iron is obviously strength itself. It embodies, like the word iron is synonymous with strength, solidity, and foundation, and richness. So that was my message to you today. Respect iron, read up on the most iron-rich foods, start food combining, and respecting the absorption of fats and proteins as being very separate, very different from carbohydrates and fibers. Carbohydrates and water. Sorry, fiber goes with both worlds. The entire non-starchy vegetables world goes with both digestions. So, hormonal health, end of week 3, iron deficiency, and remember from last week that a high insulin lifestyle disrupts the endocrine system, and excess fast carbohydrate intake, especially when combined with fats, skyrockets blood sugar, produces excess insulin, raises cortisol and adrenaline, and all of these emergency circumstances will make even worse what we're talking about this week, which is a whole other kettle of fish. And yeah, and if you are eating, hopefully you're eating nuts and seeds and lentils for their mineral content, remember to soak them first, let them soften up, and then eat them raw. And yeah, really recommend you look into the digestive health series on this channel, the playlist digestive health and food combining, and learning to get the most out of your food, and simultaneously thereby lowering inflammation and wounding of your digestive tract extremely. And here I am. Contact me if you'd like a little interview, no strings attached, to plan your 1 month, 4 lesson, 1 hour a week health reset, and neuro-endocrine Plenitude Rebirth, I call it. And visit my website. At the bottom there's an appointment box, or send me an email. And if you found this video useful, share it with someone. We all know somebody with low energy levels, or a woman in their 30s or 40s with high likelihood of having some kind of hormone disruption nowadays, with all the synthetics that are mimicking estrogen and progesterone in our bloodstream. And if you like this video, watch the 3 or 4 other hormonal health videos. They've all got the same icon of the big tree with the full moon in the background, with pink and silver and little lights in the grass, which I made. I created that image. Okay, take care. Thanks for your time. And here I am, happy to help. And stay constructive, positive, forward focused, not backwards. Focusing on the desired, so positive, not negative. Focusing on what we do want and what we want to build and grow, and not on what we don't want, which is negative, negating, destroying, eliminating. And all of this will produce very different emotional culture and defining mood and eventually personality to you, as you practice much more positive emotions. When we're being constructive, we're thinking about what we do want. This requires taking responsibility, of course. When you stop blaming outwards and practicing an external locus of control, and practicing blame and frustration and powerlessness and injustice, instead focusing on what you can do, what is in your control, and focusing on how you react to reality much more than what actually happens. And you know, Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics remind us life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react. And as we take control of our responsibility, our emotional health also improves a lot, and our mental health. And positivity is our great reward, but it's also our basic requirement for functioning effectively and making others happy as well. Okay, thanks for your time. Take care.